Amen. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday School this morning. And if I could get Dimitri to open in prayer, please ask God's blessing this morning. Amen. Good morning. Um, the home series, um, anonymous questions. We're um, getting quite a few in, which is really good. Um, the foundation, actually, of this home series is designed around the questions. My intent was to stir the water, um, stir it up to generate questions, to generate ideas and thoughts as we work through our home, including marriage, single people, anything that has to do with the home. Um, that was the whole idea. So in a few weeks, we're going to do a whole class on the questions and answers to the best of my ability. Um, okay, so 4 questions. Why are finances a stress? Where I learned about money. What is the 80-20 rule in finances, and what could bring peace? This will surely stir up quite a conversation this morning. And so here we go. Why are finances a stress? Have at it. Roman. Okay, so without organized finances, I'm going to add that word, you can't really accomplish what you want to do. And we're going to look at the scripture. He who builds a tower, intending to build a tower, doesn't sit down and first count the cost. That's going to come up. But yeah, so let's filter all of these thoughts, why finances are stressed, with a filter through the lens of the home. Okay, marriage or not, or getting ready to get married, or, why is it a stress? Bernice? Okay, so um, the perceived thought that I don't have enough. I'm adding the word perceived. We're going to talk about that today. I don't agree. Okay, no. I, for conversation's sake, not because we're disagreeing. I'm going to challenge that thought. Okay, and we're going to look at that this morning. So it's a great thought. Okay, so there we go. Good. So unorganized finances create stress. So why are finances stress? Because we're not organized, unless you are. Okay, very good. Cherise? Okay, no, you have to explain more. It can be an instability. What's that mean? Okay, okay. So what you're saying is first cousins to what Bernice is saying, right? So mismanagement and not knowing creates the stress. Okay? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's what you're saying. Okay, good. So let's stick to the stress. So if I don't know, because that's disorganization, that'll create stress, of course. James, and we'll move this way. Okay, now filter that through the home. That would be definitely a burden on the partner, right? Sure. I mean, and we could that subject will continue to come up in just a minute. Yes. Okay. Okay. So let's stop there. We weren't taught how to organize finances or about money causes stress, and then the materialism, keeping up with the Joneses is the common term of I need that because everybody else has it. Okay, and I mean marketing is incredible. It's psychological. They're spending, back in the day, I remember when it was $1 million a minute for the Super Bowl. I can't even keep up with how much it is a minute now, but it's insane. And everybody says this. Well, that's stupid. That's insane. No, no, actually not. Somebody sitting behind a desk understands that if I can put my brand in front of this many millions of people with that validation, my brand is going to grow. So it's not dumb. They're smart. They're really, really smart. Okay. Other reasons why finances are a stress in your home. Home. Think about other people. Yes, Tita. Okay, irresponsibility creates stress. Okay, yes. Okay, we need finances. So the need generates stress. Okay, good. What else? Roman? Okay, disorganization creates insecurity. Fair enough? Yes, Brandy. Okay, okay. So you could live in subpar conditions. You could live in less desirable, under less desirable conditions. So we could really talk about children that grow up with parents that are irresponsible, and that could create an instability, insecurity. She says unstable. He says insecurity. Same thing. Those do create that. Okay, and we'll talk about a little bit of my story in a second. Joseph. Okay, so what could create a stress is one partner has an ideology of money and the other does not. They could be unequally yoked. One could be out of balance with the other. You maybe have a free spirit married to a nerd. Um, uh, Maybe they have a lot of fun on dates, but not with money. I don't know, but um, so free spirit versus that could cause a lot of stress for sure. What else? Anything else that comes to mind? We don't have to stay on this forever, but just anything else come to mind? Okay, debt creates a lot of stress. We'll talk about that today, of course. Okay, James, other stress in the home. How does this create stress in the home? Sure. That definitely that is pretty much the number one fight with the couples. Okay, being irresponsible and not agreeing on where to spend the money. Okay, we're going to address that today. It's awesome. This is actually perfect. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about me and why this matters. I learned about money like all of us as children. We learn from our parents. That is our first example. If my mom were watching this, she could be watching this. She would probably be the first one to tell you that they didn't handle their money well when they were younger. This could stem back from her father. We can shift blame. We can be victims. I get it, but there's got to be reasons why. No one taught her how to manage money. Her husband, which is my father, left when I was 2, so she's left to work on her own. So she never taught me how to manage finances. To make matters worse, my stepdad and her, they started a business when I was about in junior high, early high school, recruiting. They're called headhunters. They made high commissions, but only like 2 a year. So it was feast or famine in our home. And it would be, buy a boat, buy a car, buy the widescreen TV, and then it's gone because it's sold. And it was a little bit of instability there. Okay, sorry, Mom, it's the truth. It is the way it is. I didn't grow up knowing how to do those finances. Okay, my dad obviously never sat down with me. All right, son, this is a budget. This is how money works. It was always a mystery how money works. Always a mystery. About that time, credit cards were coming out and very easily to get. And so when we first got married, luckily we didn't get into too big of a hole, but I can remember we would hold a little bit of debt until income tax. Now it's crazy. People say, well, I'm getting money from your income tax return. Well, really, you gave the government a free loan. So you're just paying over, and they're just giving you back what belongs to you, and they use that money to gain interest. So you're not getting money back. Now, if you're getting earned income, then you're getting money from the rich. So it's the rich are paying for you to make money. It's redistribution of wealth. It's socialism. So, oh wow, I'm making all this money. Well, somebody is paying for that. There's no such thing as a free lunch. All these mentalities we've been conditioned to believe. And if you grew up without being educated, you just fall into what we're going to talk about in a minute with debt. You fall into these mentalities. So I grew up with those mentalities. Didn't understand about money, didn't know how to manage money, disorganized with money. I'm free spirit. I just spend, not really think about the future, not think about saving, all those things. When I was about in my mid-30s, ironically, my mom sent me the book by Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. I am not promoting this book, although I am promoting it, but in this conversation, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. She sent the book, and I didn't know who Dave Ramsey was. I didn't even know who he was. And I thought, oh, this is just a get-rich-quick guy. Like you see, I was very skeptical. I read the book. When I read the first chapter, I was like, he is describing me. He is describing everything about me, my mentalities, and went through the book very quickly. I had a cutting the plastic card ceremony with the family. And they thought I'm crazy because I read a book and I react. But it was a good reaction because we said no more debt. What that did is that forced me to manage the money well, because now I don't have there's no safety net. So my safety net would be an emergency fund. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what it was is this: a mentality snapped. That's all. It just snapped. I'm like, wow. I mean, I haven't paid attention to money. I haven't paid attention to debt. I haven't paid attention how this thing works. And it woke me up. It wasn't until Miami, we bought our cars cash with no debt all through Miami. In Brazil, I had a lot more time. I read a lot of books on finances, investing, and how to do that kind of thing. So it really did change. So we learn about money from our parents. Okay? At this point, you have the responsibility to learn how it works. There's so many good books. There's so many that can teach you. It doesn't have to be a mystery. So what this has to do with me is a confession as well. I I don't have it down perfectly. I'm still learning because of the next rule we're going to read, but way ahead of where I could be if I didn't get saved. Okay, so I'm not perfect on it, but I'm certainly doing my best. Now, a couple factors were, moving overseas and being a missionary isn't a financial wise move. Yeah, you're on a limited salary, and so I consider myself rich in the fact that I did God's will, and He's always provided. Okay, so it's not an excuse to be irresponsible with money, but my goal is not buying and selling and looking at Bitcoin every day. I'm not consumed by it. I'm consumed by souls. Could that have cost me some money? Sure. Me and my wife we should have kept our house in Miami. And so we should have, but so if I would have kept the house in Miami, part of my brain would have still been there. So whatever, I don't know. Yes, it can be wise. You need to be wise with money. Of course, it's nothing wrong with making money as long as money doesn't own you. I'm just telling you my story and how it worked with me. God has always provided. Always. It's amazing how God has provided. So that's kind of my story. All of you have your story on finances as well, and where you learned. Out of studying Dave Ramsey, studying books, especially Dave Ramsey, because people have a big problem with him because of this 80-20 rule, and they don't understand his philosophy. I'm going to explain his philosophy for him. I'm going to defend Dave Ramsey for this reason. The 80-20 rule is finances are 80% behavior and 20% math. Okay, how you spend money is your behavior, it's your character. The math, it's not hard. It's addition and subtraction, and it's multiplication of percentages. Finance is not science. So the problem that we have and the stress that we have is behavior. We're making bad decisions, and that's creating the stress in our lives. So bad decisions is the whole problem. Okay, our behavior has to change, not math. So let me defend Dave Ramsey. There's two camps. Okay, let me explain the two camps in the whole financial world. I could summarize the two camps. Dave Ramsey is so polarizing that he's a whole camp on his own. His camp is, if you're in debt, let's say you have 5 credit cards and they have different interest rates. Okay, you go with the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate. Why? Behavior. Because once this is knocked out, you feel momentum and you feel motivated. Then you take what you're paying on this one and these minimums and you put them together and you get rid of this. It's called debt snowball. The debt snowball is attacking the 80% behavior, not the 20%. But Dave, you would pay off the highest interest first because you're losing money. I get it, but your problem is not math. Your problem is that you're in this, you have 5 credit cards. How did you get 5 credit cards? We'll look at that in a minute. So this whole camp is pay off your house. That's stupid. You could use it as a text writer. It's all mental because of the behavior part. Okay, that's that camp. The other camp is use debt to get flows of income. Okay, you're getting money without paying taxes on it, and you can buy a property. What happens is that creates risk, and if you're not careful, you open yourself up to more risk for things to happen. This is less risk. This creates stability for the wife. Happy wife. So try borrowing $300,000 because you're going to go buy an apartment. Watch what your wife does. So this camp would say, oh, that's dumb. You can make money. You can do all that. Fine. Yes, perhaps. But you're forgetting to factor in stability, peace in the home, not being responsible, changing character, right? This one isn't necessarily wrong or evil, but it can get you in a trap, almost like gambling. Okay? Let me talk about one, speaking of gambling. Day trading is gambling. Let me say it again. Let me say it for the camera. Let me say it without shame. Day trading is gambling. It's the same thing as Las Vegas. Some of you don't know what day trading is. Day trading is you buy a company, you buy stocks of a company, okay, at $1. You expect by the end of the day it get to $1.50. So I put $1,000 this morning at 9 o'clock, and I'm watching it all day long because I'm speculating, it's guessing, okay? And it goes up to $1.50. You just made $500. Now your dopamine hits. Now tomorrow I can do it again. And you can get lucky and it goes up and down. Or you can buy a portfolio of stocks of all technology. Invest it, set it, and leave it, and it has a track record over 100 years of an 8% increase over time. That requires character, patience, all the things that the 80% rule takes care of. Get it? Day trading is gambling. Single stock is more risky because if you put all your money in Coca-Cola, there's a chance that it could crash. Probably not, but it could. So you'd want to diverse. That's a whole finance study. But the deal is this. We've got to deal with the 80%. The 20% will take care of itself. Okay? All right. So let's talk about debt for just a second. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower or servant to the lender. Consumer debt is you're renting money. That's all you're. Money is a product that you are renting. You're paying to use this money. Okay? How that doesn't make sense. You should have your own money to borrow from, to buy what you want. But because we can't wait, we want it now. So they said, we'll rent you money so you can have it now. 80% problem. Character problem. You can't wait to save for it because it's so easy to get. So for example, if you bought a new car, the minute you drive it off the lot, it's 20%, it lost 20% of its value. That's not a good investment. You lost 20% just like that. So if you want to talk about math, not logical, but we're 80% behavior, we're 80% emotional, we got to have the new car, right? So you lose 20% immediately, okay? Then you pay on, let's say it's a $50,000 car, they'll give you the interest when you pay it off in the 5-7 years, whatever. You've paid an extra 20 or 30% on that car while it goes down in value, right? So we could talk math, but that's not the problem. The problem is behavior. Anyway, that's why the borrower is servant to the lender, because now he has to pay. You don't own the car. The bank owns the car. You don't own your house. The bank owns the house. And even if you pay off your house, so you say, oh, buying a house is such a great investment. Well, you never own it. The government owns it because of taxes. The bank owns it until you pay it off. You're renting money. So you're renting your house. You don't own it. You don't own it. So to say a house is an investment is kind of, that's a little, that's kind of, it's semantics at this point. You own it because you could probably sell it, so that reduces the risk. And if you're not renting, you have less chance of an owner raising the rent. So there are benefits to owning a house. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's not this great investment. You could try to get lucky, buy a house in Miami in 2015, and sell it this year and make $500,000. But or you could go be a missionary. I mean, it's a question of priorities. I mean, if you're money hungry and that's all you want to do in your life is just make money, then that'll consume you, and that's fine. That's good. I hope you make lots of money in tithe. Right? There's nothing wrong with making money. The problem is the behavior part. Okay, if you're addicted to it, then they're gonna own you. So think about a poor person. Think about a poor person. They can never get ahead. They always have to have, they're always dead. In third world countries, they would never in 1,000 years think about saving and buying something. They can always buy it on, they call it quotas, or they can buy it parcelar, meaning pay it over 12 months. And they just get worse and worse and worse and worse, and they can't pay, and they go bankrupt. Guess who pays for that? The rich. So poor stay poor, rich stay rich. They're lending money to the poor. This is why there's a bigger gap. Poor people stay in debt. Rich people lend the money. Don't you want to be a lender rather than a borrower? Would you rather be the head or the tail? Right? So that's where my purpose of the home is to shake you, make you think, startle you, rattle you. James? Right. Rich people do rich things. Poor people do poor things. Dumb people do dumb things. Smart people do smart things. Behavior. It all goes back to the 80-20 rule. Okay. I dreamed this up. I don't know. I went, bam, this is the best way I could explain this. That is your income. That is your income. That is your income. That's it. This is how much you spend. %80 rule. You spend outside of what you make. Okay? All right? I want to show you what this looks like. You spend and consume outside what the limit is. Okay? All right. This is your income. You make a lot. This is your income. It's the same. It's human nature. This could be Argentina or Brazil, and this could be America. This could be Dubai, and this is America. This could be Africa, and this is Spain. It's human nature. Finances are what? 80% behavior. Now watch this. This is incredible. Okay. So this is where you are. Now you could be, this is where you should be. It's where you should be. Okay, watch. 10% belongs to God. Belongs to Him. Not belong to Potter's house. Not belong to Pastor Sean and his ideas. Not belongs to some organization. It belongs to God. His church. His place where He's saving souls. You tell God what is important by how you spend your money. Does that make sense? You are telling God that I'm going to reduce my lifestyle to match what I want to honor. Living here is behavioral. Living here is telling your wife, we're going to live within our means, whatever our means are. Now, we'll talk about front end and back end in a second. We got some solutions, but this belongs to God. So what people say, let's go to this one. They say, I can't afford to tithe. You can't or you won't. You choose to move this here to change your lifestyle. But after you have a certain income, you kind of get used to it. Well, we got this much left. We can spend on eating out. We got this much left. We can buy a toy. We got this much left. We can buy, I can afford these payments. It's a wrong mentality, and it's going to keep you very, very struggling, okay? So no matter who you are, that's human nature, okay? So it's not that you can't tithe, it's that you don't want to. You're choosing not to. Okay, and tithing is really important. We could talk about tithing right now. It's honoring God. It's trusting God. It's putting God first. There's a million reasons why we tithe. This isn't a tithing class, but finances are linked to this. And if you'll notice that, man, people don't honor God, it's very hard for them to be blessed to move this black line out. Or if they do, they move it out, then they spend more again and spend more again, and it's just stress in the home. That's why people are unbelievably stressed out. I have noticed when you're in a financial stress, it is hard to follow up. It is hard to love people. It's hard to concentrate on God. It's hard to read your Bible. It consumes you. What better way to consume? See how many attacks from the devil there are? But really, we could blame the devil, but you just keep spending. You keep buying a new belt. Okay. What could bring peace? Oh, you got something to say? Yes. Sure. Yeah. The trend is just. Okay, so let's stop there. Let me add something to what you're saying. If finances are 80% behavior, 20% math, and you've decided I'm going to honor God, right? So you could make a parallel to the spirituality with your finance. This is so you could look at how somebody spends their money and you could see them how they are doing spiritually. It's a revealer. Money's just a revealer. What you're spending is what you think is important in your life. So it's just a revealer. And what is revealed, you're saved and solid and blessed. And God can give you money. This is a whole other subject, but he can give you money because he knows that if there's a need, it's for God's kingdom, right? And you guys are financial pillars in the church, and it's a blessing. And that's why because of people giving, we can tear up tile and put new tile down and stress me out. And okay, so there was another hand. I said, Joe?
I was going to answer that question.
Okay.
So what I've learned through Dave Ramsey, now to live like nobody else, later on you can live like
Correct. Yeah.
by making those decisions.
So look at that. Look at that behavior thought. Delaying instant gratification. Anybody remember the marshmallow test? I mean, that's classic. I mean, okay, I'm going to give you one marshmallow. You can eat it now, or you can wait 15 minutes and have two later. The kids that waited, they tracked through life and they were successful because they delayed gratification. The ones that ate the marshmallow in the moment were not as financially well off. It was a character problem, delaying gratification. So he's saying, let's think of the head. What a great character thought. I'm going to think of my future, not today. And kids, and legacy, and all kinds of things. Roman? For all of us. Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. And then the argument is the 0% interest. Okay, fine, correct. That's the math part. But then you run into the problem that there's other emergencies. That you're just opening yourself up to more risk, and the human nature part. Okay, so what would bring peace? Now we get into kind of like a solution to this thing. It would be the budget. For which of you intending to build a tower doesn't sit down and first count the costs? This question is, it's almost like back then, that's a stupid question. Duh. Who wouldn't? I want to build a tower. You just start? Okay, do we have enough for 10 floors? Do we have enough for 1 floor? Do we have enough just to buy the land, right? I mean, common sense would say, this is a common sense type question. Would you not count the cost? So a budget is spending your paycheck on paper before the beginning of the month. Do I have enough for everything that I want to do on this month? Every business is run by that. The church is run by a budget. We're constantly looking. Do we have enough to spend? Can we not? Can we? Yes. Yes. No. Okay. This is a sample budget. This is, and I'm going to explain why it needs to be this simple. I've known people. There are nerds that have huge spreadsheets. They show it to their wife, and their wife goes, I don't understand what you're doing. And now they're immediately not on the same page. A budget, in my opinion, needs to be very, very simple, okay? So this is take home. We tithe before take home. You tithe before Uncle Sam gets his money, right? You give to Caesar what is Caesar's, you give to God what is God, but God comes first before Caesar. So I just want to clear that up a little bit as well. Then somebody says, do I have to tithe on my income tax return? Well, no, that's already tithed on taxes. Can you bless God's kingdom? Because, yeah, please, awesome, yes, but it goes both ways. I'm not going to tell you tithe on that income tax return that's already been tithed on and taxed on, but at the same time, you can be a blessing. It's awesome, whatever. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but anyway. So tithe, mortgage. Okay, so let me go over a few things about this, why this is. I was going to say the word magic, but church magic. I don't want to be recorded forever saying that the budget is magic. But it does bring financial peace. Okay, for a number of reasons. Okay. Theoretically, let's talk about theory. We're talking about the home. We're talking about direction. You and your wife. You and your spouse, you and your husband, if you're a woman, right? You have to agree on this before it is approved. Well, for us to agree, we would have to talk. She doesn't care. No, because your money is her money is your money. Whether she doesn't work or does work, oh, I'm the only one that works. It's my money. I decide what to do. That's why you have stress. That's why you have marriage problems. Every dollar that James makes is her money as well. Because the two are one. The two are one, unless they're not. Get it? Well, we're divided. Exactly. That's why there's stress. That's why there's problems. So you have to agree on this. Now, let's go to, let's look at this one. Let's look at emergency money. Okay, there's the savings, 600. That would be right around, should be more of a, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, are there going to be emergencies? Well, yeah, of course. So if you had emergency money, then a crisis becomes an inconvenience. I'll quote Dave Ramsey. Wow, flat tire, no problem. We have that money. It's an inconvenience. It stinks. It's horrible. I didn't want to spend that money, but we can do it because there's not that stress. But when you don't have any savings and you're in debt and something happens, now all of a sudden a flat tire, which should have been, oh man, turns into, oh, I'm going to kill you. See? See the difference? That's why this brings peace. Okay, so Dave Ramsey says you should have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in savings in case you lose your job. Okay, and you lose your job. Now watch this. Watch the magic of a budget. If you had 3 to 6 months savings, you lose your job. You go to an interview that's subpar. If you don't want that job, you're not desperate. You don't have to take a job that takes you to Texas or Alaska, or takes you out of the home for a long time. You could say no in the interview because I know I have 3 months and I can interview them instead of them interviewing me. You're in control. I don't need you. I want you, perhaps, but I don't need you. Then in the interview, you're calm. Then in the interview, you're not desperate. And they're watching this. And see, it translates in so many areas of life, okay? Let's talk about groceries. Okay, if you knew you had $1,000 for groceries this month, okay, then going to the grocery store and spending $200 on a day, whatever day it is, there's no stress because I know that we have it. I know we have it. If you didn't have a budget and you go and spend, there's always that anxiety. I don't know. It's confusing. I don't know if we have it or not, and it adds stress. Stress to your body, stress to your mind, stress everywhere. But if you knew, then there would be less stress. Now, the other cool thing is this helps you see how to live within your means. You got to see it. It's called being responsible. It's called paying attention, right? Now we bought our house. Now I'm back on a budget again to where I was paying less rent, living in the Colonna's house. That helped us to buy things that we needed, all kinds of. It was just, we didn't even have a blender. We didn't have like tongs. I mean, nothing. I mean, everything I had to buy. So it was just a blessing staying in the Colonna's house for all those months. But now we have a house. Now we've got to go back on the budget until I'm a multimillionaire. Really rich people don't have budgets. Okay, super high don't, because you're not living paycheck to paycheck. But until you get to that point, you're going to need this. And even if you're a multimillionaire, you would have a budget, a rough budget in your mind of how much you're saving. Another story, another day. But the point is, this is responsible. This is character development. Now, let's talk about an emergency. In order to take money out of an emergency account, both have to agree. And then it becomes communication. You can't spend on something that's not approved. That's a violation of your marriage. You are violating your spouse by spending money that you don't agree on. You're violating your home. And are you going to disagree? Heck yeah. Of course you're going to disagree. What do you do in a disagreement? You communicate, you compromise, you work on your marriage, you pray, you get some advice, you talk. The bigger it is, the more you're going to have to be responsible. If you've been irresponsible for money for a long time, you got to build up your credit score with your spouse. Right? So it's just such common sense, isn't it? When you hear it like this, you're like, dude, he's just talking about like it's just so easy. Yeah. Money's not your problem. Money's not your problem. Can two walk together unless they're agreed? The problem is you don't agree. And we got to work on it, right? This is not supposed to be a bummer Sunday school. This is supposed to be a wake up. Let's start being responsible. Now, let's say God's watching. Because he is. He's watching. And let's pick on Zach, because he's in the front row and he's right in front of me. Zach says, you know what, I'm generally good with this, but not communicating the best with Mimi, and I'm gonna put together a budget. I'm gonna really pay attention. This woke me up a little bit. And God's watching. He says, okay, my steward is now being responsible with money. I can give him more. Common sense, right? Then you have this guy over here that's spending recklessly, and he's not being responsible, and actually giving money would hurt him. It would enable him. Why am I always struggling? Because you're living outside your means. You can't be blessed. It's a whole package. And when you start to be responsible with money, it can flow through you. Abraham was one of the richest men that ever walked the earth. Right? It's not wrong to have money. In fact, isn't it nice when you have people over? Isn't it nice when you could give somebody a car? We've done it. We gave cars away. I was in morning prayer one morning. Wayne Brown was praying around bummed out. I said, what happened? Oh, my engine blew up. I don't have a car. We gave him our Allison's Mazda 626. Just gave it to him. And isn't that awesome when you can do that? You can be a blessing king. Hey, we need finance. We need this. And you can bless people. So it brings peace. It's really good. So can two walk together unless they're agreed? So you're going to have to work on this part of the finances, okay? Remember, this Sunday school, the purpose of this was to generate the questions. Okay, the purpose was to stir the pot a little bit. This is all stuff that perhaps many of you already know. This is what you know. Let's end on this question. Yes, very good. Come into the marriage, not in the hole. Come into, and part of premarital counseling is part of that discussion. But I can't reveal all my premarital counseling secrets because it's so fun, and you just gotta start to get married, and you'll find out. Amen. God bless you. We'll start at 10:30. Church. God bless you.